some music in a second.
And we are recording.
Amazing. Thank you, Aileen.
Can you hear all the bell sounds when, for example, I mute and unmute?
No. No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I think it's like
I can hear them.
Oh, you can turn them
Oh,
off
you can hear ours.
in your settings as well.
Okay. Might just do that. Anyway.
Okay, so can you guys hear this?
Yep.
Yes.
I can't hear anything.
Oh,
Something is playing. I can't quite hear it
very
yet.
low piano.
Yeah. My science here needs to read it.
Yes, I can hear it.
Okay.
It's
Sorry,
foreboding.
Start that again. There we go. Okay. So, would anybody like to do a recap for this session? Anna?
I can give it a try.
Hell yeah, Anna.
All right. So, session 151 has us starting off just after we've gotten out of the strength trial with barely our lives. And so we had the intention to have a nice long rest. A few nice little places were set up. I think some sort of tiny hut. Anyway, but in the middle of the night, does Sarrazin notice on watch? Someone notices on watch that a fire of one of the other teams is out, and wakes Brian and a few others, and we all essentially get going because this is a very cold place, and a fire out means that team will die soon. Yes, so before we can quite get to the cave, we discover this massive lad. Huge polar bear-like creature, 4 sets of eyes, with a bit of light shed on it, quite emaciated and mangy, not doing well. The medics are able to attend to the I think Alabek's team in the cave. Who got injured? Who was that?
I found a very good reference, by the way, the other day for the creature in the Discord, just because I feel like it's relevant. Where is our server? So, I don't know what you guys are imagining, but this is kind of what I was describing.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Oof.
Hefty.
Funky.
Yeah, that bear is oh my
sick.
god, the close up. Okay.
Also, like, sexy.
Luran mourning the fact that he is not Ulster's definition of sexy.
Yes. So yeah, one of Alabek's team had a big gash along their side, just unconscious, very near death. So that's good that the Slayer and Neff could get to them, and the rest of the party. Big heals were done. Meanwhile, yeah, look, this polar bear looked hungry. Bluey looks on her purse and was like, "Look, I have some rations." Puts forward the rations. Because we have fed the bear may return. So this was not a kind of permanent solution. Also, the rations did kind of fuck all. Like as in, it was a nice gesture. But when you're that large and also that hungry, you don't need the long life, weird graham crackers or whatever it is that they have. So Brian sets off with Cass and Bluey and Luran flying overhead because this thing is definitely afraid of fire and warmth in general, which is unfortunate. Anyway, and we discover that she can understand and speak a bit of Sylvan and a tiny bit of Message. And that she is in danger here, and just general discussions of, hey, what if we free you? Because we might be able to bring you out of here. And, we build up trust. Brian lets go of some bag of tricks animals. Yes, but a worthy sacrifice.
Certainly.
Yes, that does help a lot in that process. Also, Brian sort of discovers that Shu is kind of able to speak with him with like the most clarity that he's ever had from her, and that like she and this polar bear are kind of very similar in that they both seem to come. They both come from this place. Yes, polar bear had many friends. Now they're now all frozen, it seems. Yes.
Yeah.
We get her in the locket because then she's stable.
Good.
I think. Oh yeah, we head towards. What is the city called? The city is called. Is it called Yeen?
Yes, it is. Well done.
Yes. Okay. JJEEN. Right. I think Brian. All the leaders kind of push on the door. Is that what happens? Big door. We go in. Does that happen? I can't remember. Big ballroom, but lots of frozen figures. And Cass approaches one, and room is full of illusion. That's illusion magic.
Yeah, so it starts off looking as though these people might be alive, and then you realise that they are in fact fully frozen through.
That's the illusion.
In place.
Cass goes up to one of the figures, tries to read the runes that are kind of on the ice there, and she's frozen. And I think that's everything.
Yeah. So for the sake of this, considering how we finished last session, I'm just going to say that from your guys' perspective, what we're going to start off with is Cass looks out sort of over the scene, and her eyes settle on this stone archway, a stone which appears to be made of quartz, and sort of this archway is not, as you'd expect, vertical against the wall. It is laid into the ground. It is large enough for a full human sort of like to walk through quite comfortably, two abreast, you would say, maybe even three. And there are runes etched into the surround. Now, everybody make the intelligence checks, please. I'll roll. That's all right.
15.
15. Natural 20 for Luran makes sense. 19 for Sarah's like a toy, and 17. All good. Everybody else? 15, 19,
15.
Lovely, brilliant. All of you guys make that connection as you see Cass begin to mumble the runes, and then she begins to freeze up and is almost paralyzed by them, as if her mind is unable to comprehend. And when I say paralyzed, I was looking into it actually. And I think the effect would be a similar effect actually to stunned. And you get the impression that this is not necessarily going to cause her to freeze over like the statues, but it is just holding her in place. That's a bit more of a better way to.
He's sat on my notebook.
Yeah. And you guys can all make that connection that it was the reading of the runes which caused this.
Okay.
Could I attempt to read them?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a wisdom saving throw?
Yes, please.
Natural 20 plus 10, 30.
Brilliant.
Ow, Laz.
I don't know if he got frozen anyway. Sorry, I don't
Good buddy.
want to give ever any ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll really quickly read the cat. Put the heating on.
I'm not
As we
cold
all
unless
sit
you are.
here and-
I was going to say that's a surefire way to get him sitting on the radiator.
I might just roll my.
It was just spilt water, so let's pause for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
sounds good.
if it's on the laptop, turn it so that yeah. Tom once spilt soup on their laptop.
Alright, so Ulster, with a 30 on your wisdom saving throw, as you turn your eyes on the archway. I'm afraid it's not quite enough. No, I'm joking.
It was a 31 to save.
Actually, a 31. No. As you turn your eyes on the archway, you see the runes begin to kind of blur almost at the edges, like you're seeing double, and it takes you a second, but you're able to focus in on what they're saying. And you're able to ground yourself in this written script because you are so well attuned to these kinds of runic languages. And also you get the feeling that you just have a connection to this that most other people wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look sort of to the side, you see that Lucas, you see that Nasha, and that Alabek are all also staring at this archway with no apparent side effect. And it says, heirs of ice, with all their eyes set on the everlast. Herein lies the grove, open to those who turn the key.
I think we need to figure out how to open it. I think that's the intelligence trial.
Alabek says, so it's team versus Silvanus, not team versus team.
Well, I don't think we're ever supposed to work against each other.
No. I think you're correct in that estimation.
Cool. Ulster gets out his piece of quartz, puts it on the floor.
Lucas pulls out his cup. Nasha pulls out the sword. And Alabek pulls out the bowl.
Did you say there was... Wait, hold on. Okay. Ulster will sit with his quartz, like a small child, holding onto it. There's a key shape in this. Pats it with his fingers. I don't know how to get it out.
Nasha looks down at her sword
Don't break it, please.
and starts to pull it. I think we're supposed to, she says, and she poises the sword. Does anybody have anyone who's anyone on like at Bluey, Sleer, do you have anything you want to add into this, or do you have any ideas?
If Kaz communicated much earlier when we saw Nasha in passing that like the sword said like crystal carver or ice carver or something like that,
Yeah.
then I guess there would be that idea of like
Cass would have. I'm sure that Cass wouldn't have kept that from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can work on that information as well. Also, Cass does still look to be stunned. Just so.
But there's no key in the quartz, it's a key shape.
Also, if you are going to cut open the... Ulster, could you freeze the water inside of it? Into the shape of the key.
I can try. Also put it down and put his hands on it. He's going to try and move the water using control water and then frostbite to freeze it.
Okay. You put the quartz down and sort of just sit by it. When your fingers touch the edges, it's almost too cold to touch. And then that familiar movement, you kind of pull one hand up, one hand down, and you see inside frosting over and then solidifying, the water freezing into the shape of a very rudimentary key. It almost looks as though it's been rusted like 10 times over and it's only just holding its shape from your guys' association with this kind of looks like a key. It's very, very rough hewn. And it is frozen in there.
Could I roll a perception check to see if we cut the quartz, will the key break?
You can certainly try.
13.
13. You get the impression that it's going to take a lot of delicacy.
I look at Nasha. Are you capable of delicacy?
She says softly, yes.
Can I insight check her?
You may, yeah.
29.
29. I'm not... Okay, right, so... delicacy is something I reserve only for like myself, but I'm very good at that. Sword fighting situations.
So we need someone who's better with their hands.
Luran steps forward. Well, excuse me, but I'm joking.
Well, you are quite dexterous.
Well, no, I was actually going to put forward Lucas.
Lucas, are you good with your hands?
I'm pretty good.
Also, just Darius' eyes. How good?
I'm here.
Just because you're here doesn't mean you're good with your hands, Lucas.
All right, I will show you. And he does this. If you're telling me also wouldn't be impressed by that, you're incorrect.
Maybe as a child. Doesn't work anymore, Lucas. I know how you do it now.
How about this? And he puts his hand behind your ear and pulls out a coin.
I'm married to Luran. Nothing's going to impress me. Okay, I see.
Okay, how about this? And he'll throw a dagger and it pierces itself into the ice. And
That's quite good.
Quite on aim.
Alright then, Nasha, would you give Lucas the sword?
Nasha takes a moment and she just says, why do I feel like this is my own kind of personal test?
You need to be able to give things away and work with others collaboratively. I've had a very long day, and Ulster's voice requires me to speak at a certain pitch.
Nasha looks down at the sword in hand and then looks up at Lucas. And she says, is that George?
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello.
George.
Welcome. Here comes the boy.
Here he is.
Boy.
Ooh, your hair looks nice. Like a little whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Yeah. So, Lucas says, as Narsha kind of continues to hesitate, well, how about a trade then? And he holds out the goblet.
Trading.
Narsha nods, and then the sword is exchanged for the goblet. And Lucas unsheathes the blade. And Cass, you see again kind of those runes written on the side, stone carver. Kind of settling on that as a... Let's settle on that as a good translation.
Quartz carver.
And Lucas just says, we might need someone strong to hold it down, though.
Not me. Ulster leaps back.
The arena is open to... Not arena. The option is open to all of you guys as well.
I mean, if Nasha wants to be involved.
Okay. If nobody else wants to step forward to hold it down, Narsha will...
Cass would step forward and do it, but she's probably not the actual strongest of the group, as much as it might pain her to admit that.
She's also stunned. Sorry.
Yeah, Ulster's gone over to Cass and is just patting her cheeks like, it's okay, I'll be fine.
Bluey, are you going to try it?
I think I'd want to help.
Alright. So Bluey, you and Narsha kind of kneel down, hold either side of this quartz. It's quite small, so it's a little bit finicky. Sleia?
Can Sleia give Lucas guidance?
You certainly may. So,
I might also take my opportunity to roll brief foresight right now. I feel like just in case. Oh fuck yeah! It's a 17.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Okay. So, you guys kind of flatten yourselves to the ground, trying your best to ignore the bite of the cold as it presses up against your entire fronts. Your hands kind of under Narsha's, you feel her kind of like tense, crushing grip.
Oh.
Lily does not blush because she's in a committed relationship.
I love you.
Anywho, you all wait a moment as Lucas slowly lowers the sword and rests it against the quartz, practicing the route of the swing. Now, would anybody like to roll this for him?
For Lucas?
Yeah, Cass, do you want to do it?
I want to, but I also think that Lily should, with her sort of blessed rolls and just
Yeah, me too. Okay, I'll do it. What is the roll?
I think
So it'll be a strength
plus his strength or my strength?
Oh, so sorry. It's a finesse weapon, isn't it?
What's his?
I definitely think
I
this
just need to
should
check.
be a Brian. A Brian thing.
No, yeah, it's strength, actually, isn't it? Because it's a long.
Guidance adds a d4, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does, yes.
So do you want me to roll just his d20?
Yeah, I'm just gonna really quickly just check.
That is a 15 on the dice.
And the d4.
Okay. Brilliant, okay. So, 15, who wants to roll the d4?
Oh, okay. I'll roll it.
Okay.
It's hard to feel like you're
I'm
rolling.
giving you guys agency.
It's a 4.
Ooh, or envisioned agency in this fight. So, Bluey, the last thing I need you to do is to make me a strength saving throw with advantage, please. Because Narsha is helping you.
Cool. Okay. So not the best on the dice, but strength saving throw. That's an unnatural 20.
Okay. So, all of that together, plus Lucas's strong modifier, he lifts the blade over his shoulder, twisting his wrist, and in a flash, which just makes it look like a fan of silver across the sky, he just swings the sword down. He's not levering back and kind of using a spring to kind of like a spring momentum to sort of cut it down. He's using purely that pull in his wrist to kind of like flick the blade enough and get it enough speed. And Ulster,
Yeah.
you are certain that he missed. You're certain, because when you look at it, the quartz is completely intact.
Oh. I tap it.
As you tap it, it just slowly begins to and just shatters the top half into smaller and smaller pieces, leaving a key ring that can be pulled out should you wish.
Can I pull it out?
You pull it out.
Lucas got into that cleavage. Sorry, that's a geology joke.
Oh, Anna! Anna!
Bad Anna. Moving on.
Yes. No premarital cleavage.
Hmm.
I'm so sorry. I'm making so much noise down here.
So, you have the key that was previously encased in the stone. And Lucas kind of like takes a few steps back and is like, yeah, I did it.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks. Sheathes it and then holds it back up for Nasha. And Nasha stands and reverses the trade, giving the gold to Lucas. You have a key.
Also goes over to the gate.
Yep.
Any keyholes?
Make an investigation check.
16 plus. I don't know what All-Star's investigation is. I think it's +3, but let me check. Oh no, I have it in the book.
If anybody else wants to look as well, you can.
There is my road. And
Well, for being frozen, maybe.
19 investigation.
19. By the way, guys, Cass is still stunned if anybody wants to help her.
Also patted Cass's cheeks.
Can we like medicine check to see kind of like, or arcana check to see what we would need to do to like fix?
That happened so fast. Yes, Lee, you can.
I'd like to. I don't know if medicine or just like insight. How is Cass doing?
Yeah.
Is there a preference?
Inside is okay as well, if you want to.
I'll try insight. Okay. I'm rolling suspiciously well today. This is
That's what we like to hear.
17.
17, okay.
I mean, I could also ask at the same time in my head, like, you still like with us in the head?
It's hard, you can't particularly communicate when it's stunned. But Cass
You can hum.
looks bleary-eyed and stunned.
Did you want medicine or arcana?
You could do either.
George, if you just said something, I think it cut out.
We can't hear
can't
you.
hear you.
Oh.
What is that noise? Why is it happening?
I
Hello?
can't hear you yet.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Slight delay, but it should be fine.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi is.
Oh, that's better.
I think
That's not
if you're
bad.
taking Cass's sort of emotional response to being frozen, she actually seems quite happy to be frozen because she's still concerned about being a threat to the party. So she's kind of like, okay, just transport me around like a frozen statue for a bit. That might actually be safest. So she's actually, I mean, frustrated because she wants to be, but also be trapped.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You are able to discern that much.
Well, I mean, it'd be good for you to not. We'll try and get you out of there, right, Slayer?
So the Arcana check is a 31.
Of course. 31. So, you can tell that this was caused somewhat by a magical effect, but you've also seen this just occurring when beings from kind of like one magic type try to interact with other magic types. It's just some things don't mix. It's like oil and water.
No mixing. Bad Cass. No
It's
mixing.
like oil and water, and Cass has dumped her face into a vat full of oil trying to read this. And it's taking her a moment to recover from it. She might need medical help to do.
Like a greater restoration kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Slia will cast Greater Restoration on Cass to unfreeze her.
Cass, that kind of frost which had been beginning to kind of like turn the tips of your fingers blue begins to subside, and you are able to move your fingers and then your hands and then your elbows and your arms and your shoulders, and you are no longer stunned. You'll be pleased to know. You do some stretches.
And then she starts shivering because that was like really cold, and she's like,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
very interesting watching a conversation when it's muted.
So Slia will just like rub on Cass's shoulders to like warm her up.
She
Secret
will,
conversation.
she will gratefully accept.
So,
Ulster's
Cass,
like, my cheek patting definitely helped.
you save whilst you kneel at the foot of the archway.
Yeah.
So, Ulster, having a look at this archway from your roll, not a keyhole inside.
Excuse me, calls back. I need some help finding a keyhole.
Luran, no.
Don't say it. Do not say it. Don't do it.
Luran says, I'm very good with keys. So let me see if I can do it. And Alabek also comes.
Alebek's good at it too, is he?
He's more good at investigation. Luran.
Would a detect magic sort of help?
Sure. I think you might already have something like that going as well from your rituals.
Detect magic doesn't last very long.
Okay, yeah. Then you can start that up.
I would still have magic up.
Alabek gets a natural 20.
Or do I want to do identify? I think I might I might ask this in character. I can try and just do a detect magic smell and find out the general magic in the area, or I could do identify on a key, and find out how it's used, and what spells are affecting it, if any, which might give us a clue if we want to do that.
That's entirely up to you.
Yeah, fuck it. She'll do identify. So I think she'll request the key to be put into her hand.
Also be like, don't break it. Don't break it. Puts it down.
Okay. So, you...
No, that was Georgia.
Snaps into you.
Yeah. Also, you know that there is only one key. Considering that the quartz at the top is shattered, you think it would be almost impossible to put those pieces back.
Could. Luran can make replicas of things.
Yes.
Could I ask Luran to make a replica of the key?
Luran just like sees your distrust and is like,
No, it's not distrust. Something could happen. Cass could trip. Her hands would be too warm.
And she's like, I get it.
Oh no! Luran says, I can certainly do this for you, and then he will start pulling the keys apart, and you see that it sort of begins to split into.
Cool.
After about a minute, it makes 2 keys, and one is held to Cass, and one is in his pocket. Now,
I don't know if it's replicated, will it have the same properties, or will Cass need to
It gives
have
you the original.
original? Okay. Okay, well then she will sit down and start casting Identify, and it'll take 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll check back in at that point.
We start doing folk dances.
No, I think
Like, if you wanted to
there's a
do
big
it
hole.
quickly, Slia could do the same thing for just a minute. It just
Okay.
it would burn a spell
She can-
slot. That's the only thing.
Yeah, that because Cass wouldn't burn a spell slot, so I think Cass is so we're potentially
Okay.
going to need the pew pew.
Yeah. Yeah, so you would already see Cass has started this ritual. So it's up to you if you want to interrupt it or not.
No.
Depends. Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there that Slia could burn a spell slot if like that was something that like the group would rather do, is take less time.
Okay, so Blue.
I think because she desperately doesn't want to look at the runes on the archway, Bluey is going to look around the room and investigate just in case there's a keyhole somewhere in the room, maybe on the walls, behind a frozen figure. Yeah.
Bluey, you start moving through the statues and looking for this key hole. Make me an investigation check.
Can I do the same? Can I assist Bluey in that?
Yeah, sure. Bluey, do you want to roll with advantage? Or do you want to roll separately?
I think
Hmm?
it's funny if we roll separately. I have nothing adding to investigation.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if we want to find the anyway,
Go, Bluey. Go, Bluey.
Bluey.
We believe.
that's a 10.
It's okay.
Slia's was
That's
a dirty
true.
20. Wait, no, it's a 21. I have a +2, not a +1.
Ah,
Oh my god.
so a 10 and a dirty 20.
21,
Okay.
sorry.
21.
You know, I'm just like anxious, kind of. I mean, if that happened to Cass, I don't know. I just.
Okay. So, Bluey with a 10. As you move around this room, at first you do start off investigating these sort of the crevices, the doorways, the vaulted ceilings, and all these sort of like fake windows that they have around this place. And then your eyes fall increasingly on the frozen bodies. And you are taken back, ever so briefly, but for long enough, to months and months and months ago, when you were in the trials with Sobek, and you were walking through statues similar to these of your own people in Melath. And a dreadful part of you sees, for a brief moment in this room, the future of your town and all of your friends if you don't act, and you are just unable to focus on finding this keyhole.
Alright, with that, she might just sort of
Hurry up, guys.
stand in place and, well,
Well, you kind of see Bluey stop. Slia, you keep looking around. 21. You see promising signs at first. You see cracks in the walls. You see intact doorways, which you realise can be opened and closed without a key. You see passages which lead off to exposed snow and outside, but you don't find a keyhole. There is nothing in this room. You can be quite certain that would fit the key. Now, can I just have you all make investigation checks or perception checks, depending again?
All of us?
Will be, yeah. You could choose
Even
if it's
me,
perception.
if I'm.
Oh, perception, please.
Ritual.
Oh, sorry, yeah. You wouldn't be doing your ritual, but Bluey, Slia, and Ulster.
25.
25?
7.
7.
7.
And Louis, are you rolling investigation or perception?
Perception.
That's okay. Again, you guys are quite distracted by searching around the room.
Also puts another eye in his.
Yeah.
Cass is triggered.
Cass, you have a brief moment of like, but then you go back to yourself. Cass, you feel your ritual kind of drawing to a close. 10 minutes passing as you sort of like focus on this key. I'll get to you kind of explaining what it does in a second. And Ulster, I'm probably. So
He doesn't have 3 eyes. He only has 2.
yeah.
Imagine that. Only having 2 eyes.
Ugh. 20
Right.
on the dice. How horrible on the dice? 15 on the dice. 20 total. Oh.
Just 20. Pathetic.
La 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 la. Everyone's just like having a good time. Also, it's just like I see everything.
I see everything.
The prophecy is true.
Got multiple eyes coming out of his forehead now. See, Cass? It's not quite the same.
Ulster, I'm going to just describe to you the archway again.
Okay.
So, there is a quartz stone archway which is inlaid into the floor. The archway has a recess in the center of it, about a foot deep.
Mm-hmm.
And there are steps which lead down into that recess. Just 2 steps.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll go there.
And that's what you see. So you go down the steps and you're standing in the archway.
Do I feel anything?
Not quite.
What do you mean, not quite?
It's
not no.
Not quite.
A little first.
You feel very connected to the magic here, but it's not an answer to the question you're asking.
Oh, George just hit that way.
No.
I need someone with a
Okay,
slightly larger
continue.
brain.
No. So, Cass, you're doing identify.
I am.
Great. So, I'm just reading the spell very quickly.
Yeah, because obviously the attunement and stuff is not necessarily. It's just finding out how it works. Seemed to be a potentially useful.
Mm-hmm. No attunement, no charges, nothing like that. No spells are affecting it, and no spell created it. The way this key works is it opens a door made of the same type it's made of. So it only opens doors made of water or ice. And you were correct to think that the archway was the doorway. But you must fill the archway before you can open the door. You guys have been through shadow crossings to go to the Shadowfell, which required you to do a very, very similar thing. And Sleer especially, I think you would be very aware of the fact that often in places of extreme magical kind of occurrence, like somewhere like this, the places between the planes are blurred. And you are having deja vu almost of a scene very similar to this when you were in the Malel lands, where there was the dais and there was a altar which you filled, and you were able to go through that then.
So we need to fill the arch. From that, can I think that if we just fill it with water and then freeze it, will that be sufficient?
That does not cover the extent of this item, so you will do not know.
Is there enough water within the remaining within the quartz to fill the arch?
There is no water left in the quartz. So it's all been frozen into the key.
Okay.
The items that you have left are the bowl and the goblet. The goblet is being held by Lucas, and the bowl is on the floor behind you.
I can create
What
a
if
rain
we
cloud.
fill? What if you need to fill the goblet or the bowl, and that's how you? Maybe you can just straight fill the archway, or maybe it needs to come from one of the other tokens.
I can fill the bowl.
You can fill the bowl.
Yeah.
Does anyone respond to that?
I think Bluey might look to like Alabec, especially. Like, what does? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're about to find out, but like, what does he think about this potential for bowl being filled?
Alaric is kind of nodding, and he is drifted back over to stand by the bowl. And he leans to pick it up, and then he stops, and he just says, I don't think you need to fill it. And if anybody goes over to look, you see that the bowl, in the time that it's taken for you guys to examine and freeze the key, has filled itself to the brim with crystal clear water.
Cool. Can we pour that into the
Actually,
moustache?
let's.
Okay.
Yes.
So you pour the water in,
Yeah.
it slowly begins to fill, and it doesn't seem to ever deplete. When you get to the bottom of this bowl, it fills itself up again until you have filled the entire archway, leaving a still face of water
Oh, that's going to be cold.
with 2 steps leading down into it.
Okay. Also takes the key. Goes down.
As you do that, both Alabek and Nasha take a step forward, and Nasha reaches to stop you. And she just says, open to those who turn the key.
Should we all turn the key?
Lucas says at that point, you guys all help, so I don't see why we can't turn it together. Which Albeck nods.
Okay.
So,
Also never looked like he was going to take it for himself. He's like, okay, good idea.
So, all of you standing, from the other's perspective, as they descend those 2 steps, it looks for a moment like they seize up, their whole body's freezing, and then they fall forwards slowly into the water. From your perspective, you take 2 steps, and on the second step, when your foot connects with the stone, you are no longer standing above the archway, but in front of it. The water is still a still face, shimmering. And now, beyond it, you can see a very, very small break in this kind of formation, in this doorway, which just lies slightly behind the water.
Is it a keyhole?
Soon as Brian disappears or seems to fall, Cass is like mentally being like, Brian, are you okay? Like you'll hear very panicked if it's. I mean, it's in your head like, what's going on? Are you okay?
If I can communicate, I'll just be like, yeah, it's chill, it's fine.
You are all still in the same room for a moment longer, at which point Ulster, Lucas, Nasha, and Alabek, all your hands kind of piling on top of one another. You push the key through under the cold water. It is blisteringly cold, but you're all in the same.
It's like a mint.
You are the only 4 people in the room who think that. And the slight kind of glow behind the keyhole dims as it is filled. And the moment it is filled, the water begins to shiver and kind of shimmy, and the still surface breaks until it resembles a veil, almost. A liquid which seems to flow back and forth as if there's a soft breeze on the other side. And through that veil, you smell something that you can't really smell on the side. But you smell the deep, kind of like fragrant smells of summer. You
There's a weird noise.
that?
Yeah.
That's what happened. It's just me adjusting the iPad.
Oh, I was like, that's scary. Why would you do that? Stop. It sounds like someone's scraping their fingernails like underneath the table. Stop.
I'm sorry. You smell the fragrant, natural sense of summer. And it's almost intoxicating, considering the cold climate you've been traipsing through for days. And if you wish, you can step through this veil.
Yeah.
You step through?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Give me one moment.
Dun, 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 dun. Imagine if you got to that point and then you all looked at each other and went, should we just go home?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, no, let's not do
Yeah,
this anymore.
I'm done.
Oh,
You're done.
you're done. Hang on, I'm trying to find one of my. Not that. Golden Veil Day. Silvanus. Where's my Elven Veil Night?
Where's my elven veil?
No, where is it? That's my Elven Veil Night. There it is. But I had custom music. Okay, give me 1 sec. Also, I just fixed this. This is all fine. Where's it gone? No. Okay. I think it's here. Yes. Okay. We're good. All right. All fine. So, you step through the doorway. And music decides to never work again. There we go.
The crazed look in Emma's eyes close up when something doesn't work is terrifying. It's like,
I'm not working anymore. It
I
is
love
too late.
you.
You got away.
is she okay?
You're not here.
Stop crying.
I'm not crying.
Yeah, Emma can DM like this now.
Cool. So everybody suddenly gets decapitated by a Tarrasque.
You want to skip back out?
No.
I'm not sure I like this new style of DMing.
Oh, I'm not sure I like it anymore.
So
Yeah.
I am going to describe what you guys see in a second. The first thing I'm going to do actually is talk to everybody else on the other side of the ice. Now,
Not wanted.
We've gone ice skating.
you guys start ice skating.
No, that is a lie. Cass is looking very worried.
I've never thought about how Bluey would do ice skating.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's interesting. How would everyone's character do it? I think Cass would attack it like an ice hockey player.
Luran's blades will be made
Speed
of
and
fire.
aggression.
Speed and aggression.
Roller derbies at times.
He's like doing all the stunts, all the
Oh,
skills.
Luran was bad at ice skating and also had to help him last time.
This is like if we could ice skate. If we could. He is bad at ice skating. I'm saying if he could. Then if this was like an ice skating AU, if this was a Yuri on Ice AU, that would be his skill set. But his blades are made of fire. Anyway.
Figuratively and literally.
Hell yeah. Right.
Like Cass is facing on a pair of axes.
Those of you on the outside. The first person to make a move towards the archway is Luran. He steps up to the veil and Cass disappears and reappears into He steps up to the veil and you see the same thing happen to him. He almost seems to fall and sort of like fall into it. But you can still see him. This isn't him going through. And he kind of puts his hand up to it and sort of tries to push his fingers through the fabric. Is anybody else doing anything whilst this happens?
Is going to assume that everyone's going to start making their way into the veil, so she's going to wait until the end and make sure that no one attacks behind.
Okay.
It's Silvanus going up from behind.
Oh my goodness.
I am the god of the natures.
I think Blue would start moving towards it.
A stretch.
I think
That
Slay
was
has
great.
moved up to it, but she looks like she's thinking that this isn't for us to go and...
Luran looks over you and says, this door it's open. We could go through if you wanted to.
You hear
Yeah,
a,
that's
it's
it.
really cool, guys.
Wow, everyone's got milkshakes!
And
Man,
Ladies,
let's bring all the
big
boys
boobs.
to the yard.
come on, all you suffix, get in here.
It's a shame that there aren't any more sapphics in here.
Just a homosexual man.
They've got lovely tummies. Oh, we're being grass-fed by beautiful sprites. Oh, they're patting our rugs as if to eat us.
Ooh.
Anyway. Slayer, do you have anything to say in response to Luran?
Are you going through?
Luran turns back to the others and he takes a step away from the archway and he is righted back up. And he just says to you all, I have a feeling that the task of petitioning Titania is going to fall to us. I don't think it would be impossible considering who we have here. Me and you, Cass.
Cass like looks up for where she's like started to hunker down, like she's like looks a little bit. She's like, yeah.
Usually this wouldn't be possible at all, but considering we're already in a place where the realm is, where the space between worlds is thin, what's to say we couldn't get to Titania?
Leaving me behind.
No.
You're not letting me come to Titania, Brood.
No, you're already going to Titania.
You've already gone!
I thought we were going to Silvanus.
You guys don't know his plan yet! Luran hasn't even explained his plan!
Don't laugh at me. I won't have a camera on.
No, he looks so cute!
Nope.
No!
Keep DMing.
Okay. So, Luran says, the veil between worlds is already thin. We could bring her to Silvanus. I'm sure she has that power.
Okay, I hear the plan that you're saying. What's the intent behind it?
I think that I have a feeling, and I don't know if you feel this way too, after seeing everything that we've already seen and going through all those trials, I have a slight feeling, and he kind of looks to all of the group at this point. I don't know about you extras, but at least us, I do not think that we've passed or helped Ulster pass this trial as best as we could. I think you guys individually did amazing, occasionally, often, but I have a feeling that there is some hidden intent in these trials, which even though it looks like we did well on the outside, there is something that we missed, and I think that Silvanus is going to take that out. And there is nothing I want more than to walk through that veil and to punch a god in the face. But is there a smarter way we could help him? If we could... We have a link with Titania. Ulster brought it up already. If we can have Titania...
She loves me.
Vouch for them and for what they want to build, then she is a being on par with Silvanus, is she not?
She's a tall lady, so she's better. I'm always with you.
Tall ladies are always the best.
The part of Ulster's omnipresent voice.
He left his third eye behind. It's swiveling on the ground.
Is that how he's speaking
Like,
to us?
"Oh, get rid of the eyes. No more eyes."
I have a feeling it's more, you do see Shu is kind of pawing at the veil, like pursing up her nose against it.
Ren, what do you think we missed then? Well, I mean, if we missed it, then, we might not know what we missed, but, like, what?
Titania has a way with time. She told us almost verbatim before. If we go to her now, no matter how long it takes, I have a feeling we'll end up at the same place, at the same time, if that's what she wants.
All right.
It's
What do you
so
say,
let's
judgment?
break. Out of character. Is Luran's plan we step through and think tall, sexy lady and hope to end with her and then bring her with us? Is that what he's suggesting?
You feel like that is his intent, his method. He is yet to properly figure out.
He doesn't have a method.
Needs a bit of assistance with. Which you guys, considering that Cass, you spent a lot of time with Zarina. B, Sleer, the fact that you are so knowledgeable and are very well read on lore and different things, being a knowledge cleric. I think, considering that all of you also have a emotional connection with Titania's realm, it's not without the bounds of possibility that you guys could get there. And Saraza says, I don't fully understand what is happening.
That's usual, Saraza.
That's the normal for me. One thing I do know is that we cannot bring, and he looks to the other teams. She doesn't know that. Or at least
Might
not
like
all of
the
them.
warrior team.
She might. Perhaps the representative of all can go with us, considering it's us who's getting them in there. Potentially.
What are the other teams doing during this?
Yeah, there has to be that.
Daring.
They're kind of watching. Luran is not being quiet about his plan, and you get the impression that speaking with confidence about it is part of the plan. And some of them are, especially Nasha's team, are kind of hesitating, like just hovering outside of the archway. And Alabek's team are quietly keeping to themselves. And you get the impression from the way they're muttering and then looking back to your team and then muttering again that they are formulating a plan of their own. Luran says, "What do you say then? A representative
I'm
from
with
each group?
you.
You're with me? Good to know. I'm in good company then. Anyone else?"
Lead the way.
No, always will. And Bluey's bar.
I mean, I know that she can probably get us back here and time stuff. She's sort of like stunned as to why it feels like he's leaving Brian behind, even though we're not. So like she's very confused. Just especially considering like Luran, especially, you know, husband.
Yeah.
We can inform Brian, right?
Luran looks at that archway and he just says, "I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling that this is somewhere where we cannot go." Even if we can physically make it through the doorway. What does that mean? Especially for me, right? I'm his husband, but I have no intention of ruling the country. I want to support him, and I'm only there for him. If there is any time for me to stand back, it's now.
So
Especially because I don't want anything that I might do in the heat of the moment in defense of and to ruin his chance.
So is seeking Titania's aid something you're doing to keep yourself busy in the meantime? Or an actual plan?
Don't get me wrong. It is a genuine plan. Try and convince yourself that Silvanus is going to be empathetic. And see how far you get. Bluey, you'd have to be blind not to see the parallels here. This kind of disaster will happen again. But we're in a position where we could do something about it. Look at that, so noble.
Yes. Some of the things did seem a bit cyclical.
Mm. In Castro, you want to do something good? Remind
Cass
yourself
stands
who you really
up
are.
and Cass stands up. I'll do anything to help Brian.
I know. So now I'm talking like Sarazo, and I don't like it, but it's true. And Sarazo grumbles and he just goes, "Shush." If you're with me, then get some representatives from the other teams and I'll start messing with this as not permanently as I can.
I think Cass might go to Nash's team.
Sweet, makes sense. You go over to
Blue
Nash's
might
team.
go to Alex.
I was going to say, Celia was going to go with Bluey to Alabek's team. She was going to ask Bluey if about going together.
Okay. So, Cass, you head over to Nash's team. There are 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there are 3 left of the. I'm sorry, there are 4 left of the of Nasha's team who were originally 5, not including Nasha herself.
Yeah.
You see, most of them are elven or half elven, and then one of them appears to be a dryad or part dryad, made somewhat up of ice. It seems like her body and sort of ice have become fused together as one. You don't really know the names of these people. You don't really have any kind of connection with them. So, honestly, you could speak to any of them, and it's kind of anyone's guess.
I think Cass just sort of walks up to the group. Sorry, before I start, could you turn me down slightly?
Sure.
Because I'm so loud in my own ears.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is that better?
Hello. I think that's better. It'll do.
Okay.
Because I think it's just a loud voice. So I think they have seen Cass throughout this trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I've pretty much, at the beginning when she was possessed, I was always rolling intimidation checks whenever I was doing anything, because Cass was very sort of aggressive at the beginning. So as she walks over, she doesn't look anything like the Cass they have already met, but she doesn't look sort of unsure, but she just looks very indifferent in demeanor, but not that she's not necessarily lacking confidence, but she's changed in her intent, I would say.
Yeah.
And she would approach all of them, and I would think she's addressing all of them equally, and she's not sort of focusing on any one party member in particular. And she just sort of says, we're trying to think of a way to help all of the nominees succeed in these trials. I know better than most that you can't fight your way out of every situation. If only we could, but Silvanus is going to do something. What that is, we don't know. It could be a fight, it could be something other. Our plan is to go to a being of equal power to Silvanus and beseech her help, to try and level the playing field for all of us, but especially the people competing in this trial. We don't think that doing this alone is the right way. I mean, even to get this far, we needed each other's tokens. We've saved each other in different ways. We think that we stand a chance with this. And if we do, we would we're inviting a representative from your group so that when we visit this being, you have a say as well.
The women look at each other and I think it's the dryad who speaks up and says, in sort of accented common, but clear enough. You speak of a being equal to Silvanus. Who are you speaking of?
We're speaking of Titania.
And when you say that, her eyes kind of widen, and she just says, "You are aware we are kin, distant."
Is that because of intelligence-wise? Is that because she's a dryad? Then
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think Cass would have.
Make me a persuasion check, please. I wonder if you'll succeed.
I can't do maths, but it is good. 29.
Shit, that's brilliant. Okay. So,
I mean, to be fair, the lowest I can get is a 1, and then it immediately goes to 18. So, where is that? I dropped a die and it fell. Anyway, I'll find it later.
So, Cass, they kind of turn to each other, and when they do, they mutter to each other in message, and splitting apart, the ice dryad steps forward and she holds out her hand. She stands far above you. She is quite tall herself. From about from like this side of her cheek downwards all the way sort of like through her. She almost looks like she's being held together by ice, and there is a thick frost that just kind of like crawls across her body and disappears under her clothing. When she breathes, her breath does not crystallize on the air, and she seems as well to be barefoot, not needing.
Roll to see if Cass is into her.
Yeah.
4. She's very into her.
It's fine. There is a freedom fighter waiting for her. So, and she holds out his hand and she just says, "My name is Drysia," and that's Drysia, as if dry sea. Mm-hmm.
Is she holding her hand out to shake? Sorry.
Yes, it's quite high above you. She's kind of like stooping down.
Yeah. Cass levitates up and shakes it.
Oh yes, very. That's the Cass we know.
Yeah, a little bit of that has definitely returned. Not as much as I think. Sort of having a purpose has helped. She's like, "It's nice to meet you, Drysia. I'm Cass. We're gonna get them through this."
All of them?
All of them. One is too many to have lost.
She nods but doesn't say anything more. Just say when, and I will be there.
I think Cass will like look to Luran and be like, I might go help.
So you head back to Luran. Bluey and Sleer, the two of you head over to Alabek's team, Zor, Valda, and Indira. All of whom you know by name, all of whom you have had interactions with. And they do not look surprised when you come over. They kind of scooch aside to allow you to squat down next to them. And Bluey is squatting down here, you kind of tower over everyone. Still.
Really quick. Times are they?
It's in the afternoon, around 4 or 5. So, Bluey, you kind of like stoop down, Sleer, you slot in next to her. And at that point, you hear Valda say, "We heard you talking. We're not deaf."
I don't think we're really trying to hide.
No, I got that impression pretty quickly. He passes
do you
the
like
information to you as casted.
do you like the sound of that plane?
Indira speaks, and she just says, "Where we come from, a lot of time and effort is put into the chronology and divination of our country. Magic is woven through every fabric of this world. In every one of us, no matter how it manifests, you can see it. And with that spark, we create so much, and so much of that is lost. Places like this have come and gone time and time again. We are a young civilization in the scheme of things. That much we know. And that is why we do not bend to Silvanus's games. Because as much as he understands nature, we want to understand what nature might produce, and what might come about when magic and life interact. And that is something that cannot be understood by a being who is purely selfishly involved in the survival of the one and not the both. Any chance to go against Silvanus, no matter how symbolic or immediate it is a chance we will take. We are with you. Of course.
You guys follow Severus?
Savras.
Is that Savras? Oh, thank you, Savras.
Savras, I believe.
Savras. Thank you. Spelling. Cool. Do you think, with, I guess, all that you want to bring to Silvanus, do you think Severus would Severus be cool with it? No, she wouldn't say that.
That's okay. You can get across that kind of message if you want to.
Yeah. She'll do a lot of gestures, like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Savras going to be okay with that? Do you think? Potentially.
Interpretive dance.
Indira looks to the others and just says, "We were discussing it. And yes, we believe so."
Okay.
So I will come with you.
That's Indira?
Yeah, the dark elf.
Okay.
And for Slia, just for your purposes, when I say dark elf, her features kind of resemble the Krivamai far more than they do a elf of the Underdark Orbitar, particularly. So slightly more grey, silvery skin, and obviously that's in, yeah, kind of more grayscale. So, with Drusea, Indira, and the 5 of you. You gather at the foot of the archway. There is space just about for the lot of you to squeeze in about just sort of like 3 of you at the front, 2 of you, the tallest 2 leaning over the back, kind of like trying to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And before you go in, anyone who's kind of keeping their eyes out would notice that Luran has a slightly pained expression in his face.
I think before we go...
Oh my god, I didn't even do the whole thing with the door. Sorry, Cass.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm sorry, that was at the very bottom of my notes, which is why. So, Cass, I need you to make me an intelligence check, please. You can have advantage, because Luran will help you.
I mean, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, they were both the same. It was destined. It was always going to be 21.
Brilliant. So, 21. There are multiple ways to open doors to other realms. You already have an opening, you just need to change the direction. Now, that is possible through a whole bunch of different ways, through path working, psychic kind of like links, just having a strong relationship to the plane, or rituals as well. And Luran suggests to you, as you kind of approach, that he says, we could create a link over time, but I think it might be better if we do something just to get her attention. A ritual of some kind, placing an offering. And then...
Turn to cut Ulster's hair, see what she does.
An offering she couldn't refuse.
Can we mulch another bad guy or something?
Well, I had thought of something like that, but not sure how execution would work. Perhaps we could focus on not getting to Titania, but getting to the mulch pile. I don't know about you, but I have some strong feelings towards that.
I mean, we could just place a proper offering. I can probably summon some items from the box.
You also notice that Luran has, in his time kind of like preparing the door for this kind of sort of transition, has put an offerings box sort of on the step. And in it you do see a piece of Ulster's hair.
Take my husband as an offering.
Sleep. If you have anything you want to pull out of the box or attempt to.
Could I make, like, I don't know, a religion check, a history check, something to kind of help figure out what
yes, go for it. Either religion or history, it's up to you.
It's the same bonus.
Whilst you're rolling that, I think Cass will sort of start casting, because she can also create plants and flowers. So I think she's gonna basically cover the entire archway in sort of flowers, specifically the majority of which would be sunflowers. But there are some like dahlias in there and some other sort of basically all that Brian has sort of given to us as like friendship or meaningful things. They're sort of like covering the entire archway and the ground.
Full on just sacrificing Ulster to Titania. I love it.
Yeah.
Take this small man, big lady.
My mum's just cooking dinner and she has just asked me to come up. So basically I'll tell you what I was thinking when it comes to like stepping through if I'm not back. Cass was thinking of channeling, because her magic is currently coming from Titania. So she's planning on focusing on her magic and specifically her teleportation magic to sort of create like
brilliant.
Find her the source and create a link is what she was thinking.
Cool. If it burns a spell slot, are you okay with that?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Great. Okay. Luran reaches up and pulls out a lock of his hair and cuts it and throws it into the offerings bowl. And then Sleer, he turns to you and looks down. And what are you pulling out of the box? What did you roll again?
I rolled a 21.
21.
21.
So anything really, can be an offering if you try hard enough. But traditionally things like honey, like natural sweet things like that.
Like my first inclination, just based on like my own personal knowledge, it's like fresh meat, honey, herbs,
milk as well. Yeah, all that would be brilliant. And if there's anything specifically, then that's good too. But that's enough. And as you're putting this together, Bluey, you feel a certain fairy dragon kind of ruffle their wings and fly down and stand in front of you and just say, "Friends, I don't know about you, but I am a being of these dark and deep places of the Feywild.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps, if you allow me to, I can go first and strengthen any magic that might, well, guide your passage. But you see, places like this, it's easy to get lost. So if I go through, I might not be able to come back to you for a time."
Okay. I mean, if you're confident,
I am not Bluey Sparks, but I have faith that I will find you again one day. That our great fates will bring us back together.
okay, I hope so as well. I hope this isn't a thing where it's like, 100 years pass for you, and it's sort of like, it's only a small chunk of my life, but I'm dead or something. So, but I mean, I hope it happens. I've brought up like death so many times with this tiny dragon.
Courage seems to have a full-on mental breakdown and starts crying. It says, "For you, Bluey Sparks, and for all of your associates, I will part ways with you here and hopefully see you soon. Not before the end of a lifetime."
Okay. She'll try and do like a little pinky promise.
Okay.
Whatever tiny claw he has.
His hand is like shaking. He's so sad. But you, Courage shakes his little wing and wraps it around your pinky, and you are pulled into as much of a hug as you can be by a small dragon.
Have courage.
Have Bluey. Don't be blue. There you go, I got there at the end. I will return one day, I'm sure. But until then, let me light the path for you. And Courage sort of like spreads their wings and they kind of illuminate a bright pink and blue. And with like a sort of spiraling, like dark-like movement, they pierce the veil. And there is just like a scatter of starlight and magical sort of almost fairy dust that you can see disappear off into the distance. On the other side, just because I'm going to say you're still kind of walking through, there's a moment where you guys just hear like a as Courage flies through in a sort of parallel universe to you. As that happens, Bluey will take that as your contribution to the ritual. Cass is being her magic Sleer. You're bringing forth more material components. And Luran brings forth a lock of Wallstairs hair, a lock of his own, and then just says, Who has the bag of colding? Any chance there's a lock of Valas's hair in there?
Valas's?
I don't believe so.
You have to ask Ulster for it.
Might have been good. That's all I have to do.
Louis?
Even though in a way Bluey's already contributed to like this offering, she'd want to get her little seaweed flower crown out and maybe just like hold it in her arms.
Oh,
Yeah.
Seaweed.
and this is
So
significant.
to channel nature.
I like it.
And also
Also
kindness and helping people out.
I think Ulster would approve. I can almost hear him muttering in the distance.
Seaweed.
So, you place all of these in the bowl, and Luran says, for this last part, I'll need you all to shield your eyes because I'm about to do something a little bit sad and ugly. And it's not crying. Joking. At which point, you don't see what he does, but you feel the heat and the intensity and the emotion behind it as a searing, almost cremation-like fire turns all in that to dust. And the air, for a moment, seems to scream in response to the flame. And as that happens, Saraza kind of like puts his hands on your shoulders, and there's motion, like a momentum, and as Luran, whilst that flame is kind of dying, moves forward, and Cass lifts her hands and channels her teleportation magic, marries it with Luran's, and you guys move through this veil. And I want Slia, Bluey, seeing as you're the only ones here at the moment, I want you both to roll me d20s, please.
Just flat d20 with no addition?
Nothing at all. 15 and
14.
14. Sorry. 2 makes sense. You didn't do anything. Luran,
I think if Luran's setting the offerings on fire, I think Bluey either will hold on to the crown, just like, or might take a small bit off and.
you can continue part of it and hold on to it, channel nature as you walk through. That's also fine.
Mm. Yeah.
So, you all move through the veil.
We.
Ulster.
Me.
So, you. You move through the veil, and the other side is bright white. It's an expanse that passes all the way across your vision, and there's a moment where you think you're just in the Messiah again. And then you realise you're not in the Messiah. You're somewhere you've been before, even though it was briefly. You once walked here.
Agathangalos.
You once walked this place with an angel. But there is no angel now.
Call him more of a secretary than an angel.
As you move through this white place, you see a speck in the distance. It's tiny. Or it's very small. Or it's very large and it's far away. And I need you to do a perception check, please.
Of course, I do a perception check.
Yeah.
18.
18. With an 18, you notice that this is not a large object in the distance. It's in fact a very close object. It's tiny. It is a seed pod. It is unsprouted and just somewhat hanging, suspended in air. But with every step that you take, you and your companions, the other 3 candidates, with every step that you take, it seems to vibrate, and that kind of vibration, that thrumming, just seeps throughout this white space. And after a few steps, a single sprout peeks out the top and splits the edges like a pea.
Oh.
And then that sprout becomes a shoot, and that shoot becomes a plant which begins to twirl and grow at an alarming pace. It never seems to come closer to you, and even though it becomes almost gargantuan in size, it never seems to overwhelm you or crush you.
Plants are friends.
Seed pod grows into a vast swirling tunnel of branches which, only once they are fully formed, begin to lattice and weave over your heads, and they envelop you in this summer's fragrance again. Oak, heat, fresh grass, damp. All of these smells linger together. And the white light from beyond those leaves turns golden. And you know that you are no longer in that in-between space. You are somewhere else. You're in Silvanus's realm.
Godfather.
Mm-hmm. How much do you know about Silvanus's realm, Ulster?
Can I roll for it?
There you go.
Is it a religion check?
I'd have this be either history or religion.
History or religion? I'm gonna go for religion. It's okay. Let me check. You gotta remember, guys, Ulster's good at certain things. 17.
17, that's more than okay.
Respectable.
Respectable.
Remember what I said about 20 being pathetic?
Of course.
Just
So, in the Great Wheel. What's wrong?
I just said hello.
Hello.
I forget you're there.
In the Great Wheel cosmology, Silvanus's realm is known as Summer Oak, or the Deep Forest. If you're thinking in the terms of our world, that's the Celtic pantheon, which would be Tir na Nog.
I'm really sorry, can I go to the loo really quick?
Should we take a quick break?
Is that okay?
Yeah. We will resume this info dump in about 5 minutes. Okay? Alright. Dungeons and Dragons.
I was asking you some stat questions.
Indeed. Okay. So, I'll start my info dumping again. In the Great Wheel cosmology, Silvanus's realm is known as Summer Oak or the Deep Forest, and it exists in a aspect of the realm of the fairies, or the Feywild. Now, obviously, similarly to Titania's Grove, this is a place which is not accessible just by mundane means.
Only cool people can get in.
So even though it is of the Feywild, it is not the Feywild. You know that this place has been known to host meadows, like beautiful rolling fields, oak groves, hills and woods, and all of the landscape was kind of dotted with obelisks and cairns and standing stones. This is a place of ancient. Yes, so that is what you know of this place. And obviously, if you're looking in from the pantheon of our world, that would be the Celtic pantheon and the realm of Tir na Nog, which was the where Silvanus presided. You're walking alongside Lucas, Alabek, and Narsha, the four of you abreast through this tunnel of vines and leaves. Is there anything you want to say to the others or anything you want to do?
It's a bit hot.
Lucas says, yeah, I'm not, I wasn't expecting that. I'm so cold before.
Also just takes off his big cloak and bundles it under his arm. Underneath he's wearing gauzy lights.
Narsha just says, I wonder if that lot came from somewhere like this then. The ones that were frozen in the... Didn't seem like they did well with the cold.
No, they didn't have Luran's self-heating capabilities, maybe.
You can do what?
He's like a space heater.
Oh. And Albeck says maybe don't mention that to Silvanus, although he's probably already seen it.
Is it wrong to be a space heater?
Albeck just says, well, I suppose it depends who you ask.
I think it's okay to be a space heater.
I'm sure you can say that to him and he'll completely understand what you mean.
Yeah.
So, the branches curl around and lead you to the root
Narnia?
of Narnia.
Narnia!
And Fawn is waiting by a lamppost now.
Tolkien is furious the lamppost is even there.
Make Tolkien angry in 2 words. Lamppost.
Lamppost.
So, you follow this kind of tunnel of branches around until it leads you to the root of a large oak tree. It is so massive that you cannot fathom its size. And sort of crawling up the bark of this tree, you see thin vines which seem to be weaving themselves together, and you almost miss it, but you catch them kind of just close up on either side of something, like a curtain drawing over something, but you can't quite see exactly what. And this kind of area, it's a little bit wider. It doesn't lead anywhere. It seems more to be an end point. And that much you know, and that much you can fathom, because here, at the end of all things, of Silvanus's realm, apparently, of the trials, you are not alone, and standing in front of you, wearing the clothes you last saw her in, with a crown atop her head, you see your mother.
Hi, Mum. Mummy.
And Sharpistol stands regal as she ever has. She shed her cloak, much like you have yourself, leaving it on the edge of this root. And she turns around as you all four come to a stop here. All 4 come to a stop here. And also there's a moment, very, very briefly, where her eyes pass over you and you can see a relief and a pride in them. The fact that you've made it here, and the fact that you've made it here.
Of course, yeah.
In one piece. You have all then passed the trials, or at least those which were laid clearly before you. Well done. Do you have anything you want to say, Ulster?
Ulster looks surprised that his mother is saying well done. He's like, well done?
Lucas leans over. It's kind of a compliment.
Oh.
Your mother continues. If it is not already apparent, you will not see Silvanus this day.
Why?
None do.
That seems a bit unfair.
I speak for him.
Is he in there?
Ulster, there is nowhere more to go from here. This is where things are decided here and now.
Can I insight check her?
Yes.
17.
She seems to be earnest. And she seems to believe what she's saying.
And can I perception check the tree?
You can. You're not the only one doing this. You can tell that someone else has their eye on the tree too. Nasha is kind of looking at those vines.
17 plus 10, 27.
27. You have a good eye on the tree.
Hi, lads.
Oh!
Just got heard sniffing around my ear.
Who appears?
Ulster looks at the crown and at his mother and says, "This trial won't end by us taking the crown off of you."
She shakes her head. No.
Ow, not again.
She says, no. This ends with me giving it to one of you.
No, it doesn't.
All stare.
It doesn't. And he kind of moves to the front of the group. This stops here. That crown won't be worn by anyone else.
Sharpistol closes her eyes and she says, it is already decided.
By who?
By the ice. By the land.
By Silvanus.
And by me.
It is wrong.
Trials. Constitution. Wisdom. Strength. Intelligence. Dexterity. They are all of them signifiers of your capabilities, but they are not signifiers of the capabilities of a good king. It was probably apparent to you all from the get-go that these trials were more than just strength or otherwise. She kind of waves a hand, and ahead of you, you see runes kind of just filter through the air in that same like water imagery she used in the Ice Palace. The Constitution rune reassembles itself into decisiveness. Wisdom reassembles itself into sacrifice. Strength into peace. Intelligence into collaboration. And dexterity. Sorry, this is completely... And dexterity into something that I can't remember, which is messing up the
Teamwork?
Teamwork. There's a typo in my notes. Teamwork probably is fine. There was probably a nicer word for it, but...
Teamwork's a lovely word.
Teamwork.
Cooperation.
After that's all done, could you put all those words in the chat?
Yeah, I can. Don't worry. All of these runes transmort before your eyes, and she just says, hardly any of you passed in all of these. But some of you did fairly well. But there's only one crown. At the end of the day. And she reaches up to her head, to her temple.
If she looks like she's going to take off the crown, I'm going to freeze her hands.
Okay? Do what you want to do.
Okay, I'm going to freeze her hands if she looks like she's going to take it off.
It looks like she is.
I freeze her hands to her side.
Okay. What magic are you using to do this?
Frostbite.
Okay. What's the save, or is it an attack roll?
Uno momento. It is a Constitution save.
Remember, you're still technically not natural 20.
That's just for the damage. Doesn't mean she won't get frozen.
Yeah. Makes sense.
She won't get.
Sharp Pistol's hands kind of like seize up for a moment, and it doesn't hold very long at all, but it's enough to have her hesitate, and she lowers her hand to her side. She brushes off the cold, and she just says, Austere, you know me better than that.
I'm not intending to fight you.
You cannot petition Silvanus directly, not unless he wants to speak to you.
And why doesn't he? This is cowardice. He sends out his sacrifice to do the talking. Something a villain would do.
Only the rest, Austere.
You were not meant to bear the crown. Neither was he.
Make me a persuasion check, please.
Can I add one line to try and get advantage?
Tell me.
Without that crown, you both would have loved me.
Sure.
Yes. I definitely needed it. It's 21 with advantage. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
The other one would have been 9.
9.
21.
Trust! Dexterity into trust. That's what it was.
Good job. I'm just going to check what they're doing. I heard a metallic.
Metallic plank.
Okay, you're sitting on the radio.
That's what he likes the radio. Sweet boy. With that persuasion check, you see Sharp Pistol's eyes widen, and she turns away from you for a moment, and beside you, Nasha and Alabek and Lucas are looking between your mother, between you, and then Nasha says, I'm not the brightest of the bunch, I know that much, but I'm confused because I had a feeling that we would be meeting Silvanus and that he would be here to explain all of that to us. If you can't tell us what's going on, then what was the point of that whole trial? We can't just leave here seeing what we've seen without answers.
He doesn't think he wants to see us.
Alabek says, he doesn't want to see us and he doesn't want to explain it. That's always what happens. That's all we know. My people know that very well. We get hints and clues, and I don't even want the crown. Just want answers. If I came this far, then what was it all for? And at last, Lucas, looking between you and your mother, Austere, turns to you and just says, I won't accept this. And looks up at Nasha and then looks at Sharp Pistol. You know that you have to do the right thing. Also, your mother looks back at you. And after a long pause, she just says, you have a key. There is more than one door.
Is there a door behind her?
Slowly, reluctantly, she steps aside. And as she does so, the roots begin to writhe and spasm. And you see them begin to encroach upon her, and she is, in a moment, swallowed up by them, held to the bark. Nasha rushes forward, Lucas too, and they immediately make for that wall of vines. I'm just going to see if I got my music. That wall of vines right behind your mother. What do you do?
Is she restrained?
She appears to be restrained.
Hold on, let me just check Allstar's features. D&D Beyond is hard to navigate on the phone. Elemental Fae. Would this be...
No. I was surveying this.
Okay. These are magical plants, aren't they? Then,
Yes.
technically. Okay, I'm going to... As they're running to the tree, I'm going to attempt to free her. And
Okay.
I have advantage against these because I'm a powerful druid.
Okay. What are you doing to free her?
I'm just using my hands, so any attack they make or anything against me, I'm going to have advantage on.
Okay.
And they can't impede my movement at all. I can just
Okay.
move through them.
So Nasha and Lucas rush towards that archway that was wrapped up. Alabek stands back, taking a defensive stance at the far edge of this sort of like clearing. And you rush to your mother, and as you kind of lay your hands on those vines, they pierce up, spines going through your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
30?
No.
No.
Okay.
You manage to pull away in time, getting just a sort of like a light gash on your palms. And your mother reaches forward and just says, I didn't give you this opportunity to run for me. There's a door.
Allstar just looks at her and... Can I insight check her?
Yeah.
I'm going to use a luck point. Much better. 22.
22. She's looking at Nasha and Lucas. Like, directly.
Okay.
Between you and them.
Allstar will look at her and just say, do not take that crown off. And then he will go to Lucas and Nasha.
Okay. Lucas and Nasha are using brute strength alone, holding back and peeling those vines away. And you almost raise your hand to kind of like help them and use magic or anything you can. But there is a flash of light, almost like when the sunlight blinds the devil's snare in Harry Potter. And Alabek releases just a bolt of sunlight, which causes them to sort of curl and pull back, stunned, almost like animals would be. Lucas and Nasha kind of like in the moment, not realizing what was happening, they shield their eyes and they let go of the vines, and you see a doorway, almost like an archway, but this time entirely made of nature, open up and lead into some sort of like almost like forest green darkness. It's like almost black with a tinge of green to it.
I run in there.
You run in. There's a moment where you look back over your shoulder and Nasha looks at you as her eyes clarify, and there is a beat in which you know this doorway will stay open a fragment longer. And she almost jerks forward, and then she grabs Lucas by the shoulder and shoves him through.
Thanks for throwing your support behind us.
At which point, the vines seal again and you are swallowed up in darkness.
I'm going to grab Lucas' arm as soon as we get through.
Okay. Make me a perception check. Because it's so dark, it's...
12.
You spend some time feeling your way through the dark before your hand finds his shoulder and he grips onto you and you pull him up. And do you say anything to him?
I'll just say, stay by me.
He kind of feels onto you and just says, "Do you have a light?"
He has a spark necklace.
Okay, you pull your necklace out from under your clothes, and it illuminates his features enough, and you just see he is like wild-eyed, and he nods at you. And do you move deeper into the darkness?
Let's go see my godfather. He leads Vixen.
Okay. We'll get back to you in a moment.
Dramatique.
Dramatique.
Yeah.
That was me doing a drum roll.
Thank goodness. Lily muted her computer.
Yeah, Lily muted herself.
I'm
She
cold.
took away the DM's voice. What?
Ha ha ha! I have the
Which is
power.
she?
Have you guys seen the little stroller that we have for Baz yet and Laz yet?
No.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it. Lily, show them.
We have a pet stroller.
absolutely ridiculous. Ah.
Oh my god.
In it.
Yeah, Baz likes to sit in it.
It's cute.
So like, can you like zip it up and it's like sort of a gauze or something, and they can
And
just...
you can insulate it, you can open windows. It's like a perfect little pet house. It's
Yeah.
big enough for the both of them, and we can put heating pads in it. And we can take them for little walks. They love
We
it.
put a self-heating mat on the bottom.
Yep.
It's got insulation
Oh,
on the inside, and then we don't shake your head. It's amazing.
And we roll them like babies. Someone thought Emma had a baby the other day.
Yeah, we got it because we needed a quick solution for if we had to get them out of the house in a panic, because obviously they're illegal, and
Wow.
illegal, and I just thought it was a great idea. And they go in there together. They're silent. They yell for a bit and then they go quiet. And I was like on the phone to Lily at Starbucks, and I was like, "Wow, they've been quiet this whole time. I'm so pleased." And these two people behind me were like, "Oh no, please go first," like as if I had two kids in there. And I was just like, "Yes, I do."
Babies.
Cat the babies. But
Wow.
anyway, that's a story for another day.
He winked at me
Oh, he's cute.
with his sore eye.
He's got a little bit of a sore eye. It's like a bit. What did you call it? Manky.
Manky eye. I think he's got some dust in it, or Laz might have hit him in the eye or something. He's a bit like,
Bad lass. I don't know. So, friends.
well, vanishing.
You don't have to ban.
Yeah, but it helps set the scene.
Of
Because
course.
Orsted's just staring at you. Look.
My friendos.
My friendos.
You all move through this veil. Now, did you do me... Oh, Cass, can you do me a d20 roll? Because everybody else did me one, but you have not yet had the chance.
I am going to roll my magic one that I specifically bought for Titania's magic. Please
Yeah.
don't fail me. That is that a... Which way around is that? Bear with me. Is it just a straight d20, or is it...
Gay
do I
D20.
add anything to it? It is the gayest, but is it being
Yes. Yeah.
added to? Or
That's it.
it's gay. Okay. 16.
16, okay. So, all of you feel yourselves being pulled in different directions, and there are flashes of mist, of white expanses, of different colours, just these glimpses as you move through the veil and you see into these other realms. Slia, you're reminded of the way you took to get to Batar, of how that space flicked between different realities. A place between the planes, it was called. But that is not the only place of that type, it seems. As you flick between what appears to be just snapshots of all these different places you could go to, all of them just with a slightly grainy, almost like mist-like filter. And then the mist changes and you recognize it. It is not the Shadowfell mist. It's not the mists you walked through when you came into Silvanus's trial. But the mists that you walked through when you made it through to Titania's realm the very first time. And I need all of you to make me wisdom saving throws, please.
Okay. I do have a high roll if anyone needs it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a saving throw.
Yes, it is.
And I have Indomitable.
Lovely.
Because I just rolled a natural 1, and I do not want to have rolled a natural 1.
Amazing.
I don't want this
Indomitable.
natural one.
Actually, I pass. So,
Can't dominate me, Titania. Sweats.
wish you would though.
Saving throw.
She can dominate anyone any day.
Oh yeah, even All-Star, and he's gay.
Okay. So that's a 7. I could use my 17 instead of this 5.
You have the benefit of knowing the effects of this one. You've been here before.
Yeah, isn't it like just getting totally lost?
Yeah, you get
We
completely
have
turned around.
retconned that we tied each other together before we went in.
No.
Dad would have been smart though.
I'm gonna use my brief foresight roll, and so I have a 19.
I'm just gonna send a meme to the chat. It has nothing to do with this, but it made me happy.
Oh, that poor bird! I never thought of that.
It's great.
So, Louis, what did you roll?
19. Not
Nice.
7. Not 1.
Not one. Sleer.
That's a natural 20 for 31.
Sick. So sick. Acanthoricus.
I rolled a 13, but with my modifier, that is a 21.
Sick. Right. You guys are super wisdomed up. Now.
We are fucking going through, bitch.
Hell yeah. Now, everyone is
big
like
lady.
that, except for Saraza, who start to slowly drift away from the group.
Grab him! Grab that booty!
I'll give
Yeah,
you guys
cool.
one chance. He's going to try and grab it.
Advantage because his booty's so big?
Yeah.
Advantage because he's clapping everywhere and you can hear him from a mile away.
What are we rolling?
What are we rolling?
Yeah. What are we
Are
rolling?
we rolling deck?
Yeah, be a dexterity saving throw to grab him before he disappears.
And is Sarah's the
is
only
a
one who's
19.
lost?
Only one. Natural 20. Bluey, with your insane skills, you are able to grab for a miscellaneous part of Saraza that shall not be named.
I got a 19, so I'm going
Oh.
to also grab a handful of clap.
Saraza screams. He's like, screeches. As his booty is attached.
It's a height difference. I mean, Blue would have to reach down. That is, like, Cass is just reaching up.
Sure, okay, fine. As his booty and his shoulder, or his pectoral, are grabbed. Are grabbed, he screeches. He's like, not my nipple!
Okay, Bluey moves her hand immediately up to the shoulder like that. She also screams.
Also, I feel like because Bluey had to use that brief foresight, she could just sense that like Sarazer was also gonna struggle, and just had that feeling.
I've got to grab the nipple or he'll die. Grab the nipple!
It's a nip grab or else.
Bluey.
Good on you, Bluey.
Bluey's got a handful of nipple and Cass a handful of ass.
Sorry, George, what was that?
I was just telling Lils that Bluey has a handful of nipple and Cass has a handful of ass.
Sarah's is getting it tonight.
Saraza's living the dream. So,
Luran is like, ew.
so, good thing Luran can't see. You guys are able to grab onto one another at miscellaneous angles and places, but mostly are all above bar.
Most of it's on the booty.
Most of it is PG-13. And you are able to push your way through this mist as you were before. Beneath your feet, moss layers the ground. Soft grey boulders, just kind of like slightly damp or like condensing with water that just kind of drips down in tiny waterfalls. You see pixie families flying through the bushes, and they cower in your presence. They look out to see if Ulster's there, and they breathe a sigh of relief when they realise he isn't.
Oh, they love me!
I'm going to run the All Pixie campaign one day where it's just you guys and there's like a serial magician.
Oopsie.
Yup.
Oh my god.
So,
I'm just sorry, I'm just now picturing like the pixies all having like an evening, maybe they're all at dinner, and then one of them starts to glow and they're like,
I never thought it would happen to us!
we didn't even get time to tell.
Oh yes, Dungeons and Dragons.
Jesus
I
Christ!
told her earlier.
Oh,
Hi Mum, it's
Ow.
that D&D I told you about earlier. It's always D&D. Alright, I love you.
takes
Bye.
next level skills to be able
She's
to
gonna call
pull
me tomorrow.
all D&D sessions, even when they've changed place. It is an unnerving skill.
It is kind of scary. But anyway. So, you move through Titania's realm. And as you do, you see all of the fae folk, the fairies, the elves, like those beings which kind of make their home here. And they look at you with a degree of confusion that you haven't ever actually seen before. And as you kind of register that they are treating you like outsiders, looking at you like you're not supposed to be here, you feel a terrifying presence as all of your bones seize and you just are paralyzed in place. It feels as though all of your nerve endings have been hit by stinging nettles and your shoulders are rigid. You stop in your tracks and from behind you just hear a, "Who do we have here then? Uninvited guests." And you have enough movement in you as her, how can I say, her distrust turns into curiosity and she pulls back on her power and the sort of space around you begins to lighten slightly. And you can turn and you see Titania, her hair and all of her colourings are moving from autumn into cold winter, and her eyes watch over you all with the same cool expression. Not quite as warm as it once was.
As soon as the sort of spell that kind of paralyzed us is, if it's enough, Cass has dropped to a knee.
Sleia also genuflects.
Blue. Go down.
Downtown.
As you fall to your knees, Drusea follows suit, and Indira kind of like a beat behind the rest of you falls down too. Luran bows his head but looks up. And she looks over you, and again, it is becoming quite sorry, I have a hiccup. So, it is becoming quite apparent that the warm Titania you met back in those Fae summer months is moving through the seasons and taking with it some of her personality. And she looks down on you quite coolly and she just says, I remember you from another time than this one. The mortals I made promises to. Care to remind me what those were? What promises I would make that would allow you to show yourselves here unannounced? Are we such good friends?
Time. Blue will whisper like time, like looking around.
Is there anything to say?
We're sorry for intruding on you uninvited. We mean no disrespect. And Cass hasn't moved from her
Sure.
prostate kind of position.
Yeah. And after you
And it's not
speak,
even sort of like the performance of it's not even like she's just doing it because she thinks she should. Cass is genuinely like in so much awe that this is completely genuine.
Okay. Titania casts her eyes over you, and Cass, after you finish speaking, they linger on you, and you see a glint of a smile, which you remember from seeing before. When you met her previously, a little bit of a warmer expression. And to top off what you were saying previously, Luran adds, surely you would not forget your Archmage's son, nor any of his associates. And at that, you see her cold, sort of like blues start to shift back into autumn colours. They don't go quite to the summer hues they were when you met her first. But there is a shift, and it's enough that a recognition comes over her, and she smiles and she says, I'm sorry, I don't even recognise myself sometimes. But surely now you understand the dangers of coming here unannounced. I don't want to do something that we might both regret. So, stand, you may. I won't harm you otherwise.
But if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think Cass will stand, but sort of like it's not reluctant in fear. It's just sort of like she's still very deferent in
Sure.
everything.
Yeah. She moves through your group, kind of carving a path between, and it's a wordless invitation to follow. As she walks, she just says, now, be mindful of how long you spend here. I'm struggling to hold on to these warmer forms as the cold sets in. Bit chilly here, don't you think? And she laughs as if knowingly. She leads you to a banquet table. Not the place you first met her, where you presented her, you presented her Cortan Ventress, but the second place where you saw Carol turn to mulch. And all around you see a garden has bloomed into bright red, white, and purple colours, and she just says, "You made quite good fertiliser. But these will die soon enough. Regardless, sit and eat if you wish, but know the consequences." And you see Sarazar just bats bats a grape out of Neff's hand, who materialises is there for a moment, and bats another out of Indira's hand. It's like, don't eat anything. But the food looks really good. 3-tier Victoria sponge cakes.
I'm gone.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, Cass contemplates it. She's like,
I don't ever have to leave
No,
again.
consequences. I can never be put to harm anyone. But she persists.
Yeah.
She knows Brian would be pissed.
He'd be very upset.
As with the DM.
He would be walking in there and be like, Titania, give her back.
The DM would struggle with this, but would find a way. So, Titania sits you all down and she says, "Oh, you bring me new faces who I haven't met before. Why?" Looking to Indira and Drusea, waiting for one of you to answer.
I think Cass would kind of be looking to see if Luran wants to take the lead, as it was his sort of idea why they came. If he's not going to speak, then Cass will, but she's waiting to see if he will.
Yeah. Luran looks like he has a lot to say, but also is very aware that he's not the only person here who might have something they might want to say to Titania, considering this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of chance. 3 times in a row.
He has. Cass definitely has something to
Spear.
say to her, but she definitely wants the whole thing with Brian to be sorted first. So
Sure.
she has something to say, but she's like, it's not the most pressing issue.
Leah, Bluey, is there anything you want to add on?
Ulster is going to fight a god.
Luran, then. Or Bluey?
Well, we've all come together from a trial that Ulster was participating in. This is Indira. And what is the other's name? The dryad is called Drusea. And this is Drusea. And they're from other teams, but sorry, this bloody cat. Oh my god.
A cat jumps onto your shoulder, Bluey, and starts yelling. It has a strange pink and blue hue, similar to that of courage.
Sorry, hang on. Whatever. Right, you can keep crying.
You just continue on, Bluey.
Where I think we were hoping to ask very kindly and humbly for your good support.
My good support.
And Blue will now she'll look to Slayer and to Cass and to Luran and says, yeah.
Sarah gives you a thumbs up, like, yes, good job. Good job.
Good job.
So, Titania leans forward and just says, "Why is it that you constantly involve me in your mortal problems? I'm not upset. I'm just curious, honestly. No, none who wish to leave this place have had quite the audacity to come and ask my power so many times.
Because we love you.
If I may.
It's not just... Oh, sorry, Slayer.
Let's hold on to your thoughts. I'll come to you in a sec.
Who's holding their thoughts? Sorry,
Slayer, it's you. You go.
Okay.
You go.
We come to you for this because this isn't a mortal problem so much as a deific one. Sorry, smile is because cat. I hear screaming.
Yeah, the cat continues to walk across the banquet table, eating all the food. Okay. Cass, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah. Every problem we have brought to you and asked so graciously for your help has not been a problem bound to mortals. Even with Karul, should he have been allowed to be recovered, Alan could have made his way into the mortal world. And again, with this problem, it's to do with Silvanus and his control over a certain aspect of the mortal realm as well.
Oh, wow. Anna, I can't believe you're letting that on camera.
Oh my god, Anna! Good thing we're not streaming. Remember I showed that on the stream. Good stuff. Nice serious conversation. Cass, as you're talking, the cat that's been dancing across the banquet table just shoves its butt into your face.
Cass gives it a switch badge.
So, Cass, Titanian nods and just says, "No, I'll admit, you are right. Those problems extended beyond just mortal realms. Silvanus, you mentioned?
It's not you, Emma. It's just the whole cat drama with Bluey has been very today.
Hang on, let me go get a cat to make this more... Oh, look, baby!
What? Don't disturb them.
I'm not going to disturb Glass, because...
Oh, no. He looks so unhappy.
he's happy to be here.
Oh, Boomba, look. Look. Boomba. Look at this. Oh my god.
This is too much.
Titanian...
You guys are managing to distract from Titania. This is some next level distraction going on here.
He stinks too. Jesus.
That smells real good.
Yeah, that smells nice.
Luran leans forward and he just says, Titania, I'm certain, beyond a doubt, that one day we will work very closely together. My family is intricately woven with your power and your prosperity. Any favour you do us now will be repaid tenfold by my own hand. You know it will.
And I'll come have tea with you.
And my husband will come and have tea with you.
Have you noticed I'm not there, Titania? Have you noticed me, senpai? Mommy? Sorry.
Titania, all we can ask of you is to help us put Silvanus back in his place. He's getting a bit big for his boots, don't you think? Besides, wouldn't you enjoy something like that? And Titania looks to all of you and she just says, I think you misunderstand me. I'm not saying no. I'm just trying to understand you all. Besides, you already owe me so much I could take from you at any moment. And I will, one day. Just not right now.
What you gonna take, Titania?
Your virginity. No.
Soul?
Don't know how that would work, but anyway.
You think you lost your virginity not to me with Titania?
Alright, what can you offer me right now?
Virginity.
What can you offer me right now? For this work that I might do for you.
Hand in marriage?
Considering I've already given you something else.
What would be appropriate?
Something only you can offer.
A kiss.
Is it from each of us?
Just one of you, one thing.
I think Cass would sort of step forward. They were all sat. I don't know, maybe stand, whatever. She does something.
She stands.
And she says, "I've already promised myself to you, and I swear to, I don't. You've potentially already got it, so maybe it's not sufficient. But I promise to fight for you for the rest of whatever lifespan I have, and if you choose to keep me, I'll fight for you after as well."
Alright, I have it. It's a simple request, and I don't think you'll find it too unpleasant. Any of you can complete this task, but all I ask is that one of you eat something from the table.
Stop it, Basil.
If you want
Can
later,
I ask you, Emma, what exactly it means to eat from the table? Like, in complete terms.
in complete terms, to eat from the table would mean you'd be bound to Titania's realm and unable to leave.
Forever.
I'd like to do it.
So, not without express permission from Titania herself.
If I ate from your table, would I be allowed to fight for you on the mortal world? Freeing people from contracts they did not choose to enter into or knowingly enter into.
Honestly, no. However, your soul is not mine. I can't keep you here. You could fight until your soul was freed, and then you would be returned to me. And you would stay here.
Oh, that's a difficult choice.
Yep.
There are those among you who are not as involved in this quest. She looks to Indira and she looks to Drisea. One of you is my kin. You could do it too. I would accept that. And Saraza says, we would not make someone who volunteered to be here take the fault for our actions. Cass, if you don't, I will.
Cass has already picked something up and has eaten something. I think as it's symbolic, she's drunk a glass of alcohol that I'm assuming is on the banquet table.
Before anyone can stop you, you pick up the goblet to your left and you just tip it back. And the moment it touches your lip, it's thick and sweet like honey. A mead of the strongest variety. And Cass, when you swallow it down, your throat burns and your veins begin to twist like vines under your skin. And Titania smiles and she says, you really didn't come at the best time for me, I'm afraid. I'm not so kind like this. I'm a bit more true to nature. But that should bode well for your affairs with Silvanus, now that the term is met.
That's good.
I will go. I will go. As you like. But first, there are some who need to feed here. And she reaches out and puts a piece of cake on her plate. Do you have anything you want to say? Anyone? Anyone?
I think sort of it kind of progressed kind of far. This kind of felt like something Cass needed to say before this happened, but I'm going to say it now anyway. I think after drinking it, I think Cass is sort of crying, and she turns to Titania and she says, "I swore to." Was promised to you, but she reaches up and touches the eyes, and she's like, "But I failed you, and I'm sorry."
Her colours are the warmest they've been at that point. And she just says, I would have asked this of you eventually. You have not failed. If it was of the same significance to you, I would do what I did for Ulster. But I will think on what I can give to you.
Gave me luscious love.
Mm-hmm. We have plenty of time to decide what is an appropriate gift.
Freeing me from Milan is gift enough.
You'll be freeing yourself. I'll be the one who's keeping you powerful.
At that, Cass sort of like winces because she's like, "Oh God, yeah."
Now then, and she taps her palms together. Shall we? She finishes the last bite of her cake. Is there anything to say?
I mean, Cass has now also picked up something that looks very tasty from the banquet.
She's already. She just taunts everyone else. Look how yummy.
She might as well fucking enjoy the feast.
I swear to God, this was not in my notes. Not at all.
You just decided to be mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you called this one. This was on you.
Yeah.
Blue would just continually looking. Should be continuously like looking a bit gobsmacked at Cass and just in awe of what she has just done.
It was easy. Cass first signed her contract because she wanted power, but this one she basically signed to save Brian. So it's a very different thought process.
Brian and his powerful girl squad.
Yeah. It's a magical girl squad for Brian.
Yeah. Brian Protection Squad. He's the damsel in distress.
He's the damsel in distress.
Come save me.
Luran's been running to get safe for ages, and the women always being.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I save him, and we're like, no. The girls have this.
So bad. You can't even save yourself, Luran. Luran's just
and Cass are all like locking arms, like, no.
No. So, you all gather yourselves up and start moving, following Titania. Her form looms so large and darkens the surroundings so much that you can hardly see her as you feel yourselves moving through the hedges, almost swallowed by leaves. And Cass, as you go, Saraza clutches your arm and just holds you tight, but says nothing.
She holds him in return.
Luran walks ahead so you cannot see his face. Ulster.
Me. I'm Shad, but that was a very good scene. Like, come out here and fight, you little bitch.
Ulster. You move through the darkness until it begins to tip upwards, spiraling. Beneath you is deep, deep green, but at your feet is ancient stone. You see above you as that spiral continues, going up further and further, but there is light here. But it's almost as if you are walking within the oak itself, heading towards that lamp above your heads.
It's a lighthouse.
Kind of. Reaching higher, it's like a tree lit at nighttime, hues of blue and blue-green, with white gold interwoven between them, lighting your path. And the only thing that seems to leave a slight hint of daylight is a throne made of birch, which twists and contorts. It seems like it was a naturally formed thing, but it also seems perfectly made to seat the man upon it.
Is he a little bitch?
You see a young man, long-limbed and humanoid. His legs especially are long, and they are crossed ahead of him, poking out off the throne. He wears a suit of armour made of leaves and and holds, just kind of resting his palm against it, a large wooden mallet. And I'll send you...
How old is he?
Looks quite young.
Younger than Ulster?
Probably, actually, yes.
Younger than 19?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, my photo didn't load.
On Discord?
I'm about to send it.
Long man.
He's a very long man.
Ulster was expecting to see an old man. He was like, what? Who's this kid? Like,
His skin is blue, and sphagnum moss just kind of creeps over his shoulders.
I like his decoration choices.
His boots are also woven of bark, and he waits for you. At the foot of his throne, mushrooms grow and twist.
He's still in my image.
A voice calls out from the dark. It is from the throne. It is as delicate as light between leaves, but carries with it a bass which you can feel between your toes and in your teeth. And I can't do that kind of voice. But
sure?
You can imagine.
How low can you go?
It's like it's got like a tenor to it.
Where's
Has
the
it
bass?
really been age? So little has changed.
Ulster stops Lucas going forward.
This has to be Silvanus. Seated high up in this oak, looking down on all that nature has created. You feel like, at his whim, this tree might illuminate and show you glimpses into the other worlds, your own and those which you never knew even existed. At Ulster, when this person, when Silvanus looks at you, you feel intent. Tell me, why is it that you have forced your way into my realm? You would-be kings.
You did not have the courage to meet us at the door.
Was it courage that I lacked?
Or care.
That's probably it.
You would take the life of my mother and not even show your face.
Your mother is Sharp Pistol,
You know that.
and your father is Rolmy.
Also just inclines his head.
I have given second chances already. Second chances spurned. I am not inclined to give 3.
What chances do you speak of?
The first I gave to the Lachey. The second I gave to your father, though I do not think he even fully knows it.
What mistake did my father make?
You know the answers to that.
There's a couple of things he could be talking about. Is he talking about Romy dying?
He says the answers.
Okay.
There are plenty of reasons.
This is not to do with the sins of the Lachey or of my father or myself. When was the last time you looked at the Messiah with anything other than your cold eyes?
The Messiah. Is that what you've called that land?
Creatures tend to name things these days.
Its name changes. Like the leaves, I see the seasons so often that it's hard to remember one from the other. Forgive me if I don't remember that name, or the ones that came before. I do remember the Lachey, and I am shocked that I was able to remove them so thoroughly from history.
Your intervention was unnatural.
No. It was theirs. That was not natural.
You could have found an accordance. That would have been the humane thing to do if you're going to interact so with a world of mortals.
Humane. I care only for maintaining the balance between growth and decay, water and drought, fire and ice. The natural cycle of life, anything that disrupts that, well, deserves to be dealt with accordingly.
That in itself is quite a human instinct. Cruelty. Isn't nature supposed to be the perfect middle ground?
Nature can be cruel. It wasn't always.
Only cruel in opinion, not in intent.
That is not strictly true.
Depends who you ask.
You are asking me, and I am the god of all nature.
One of them. Whew, shots fired.
So good. I love it. One of them. Indeed. But I do not speak in riddles. Nature is as active a participant as any man. It has a life.
Then let it live.
I asked your kind. I asked them that so many times. You see, the ice was kind once. It's almost unimaginable now. When the Lachey came, from whatever plane it was of Arcanum that created them, when they came to the natural world, the ice kept cloud cover and only released the sky under the stars, protect its new inhabitants from the pain of the sun on that white place. But the Lachey did not welcome this. They built pyres upon the ice and boiled her alive, all to mimic that Arcanum of their homeland where they came from, never respecting where they ended up. They built iron into her foundations, and they cut her till she bled. They melted her, and she wept into the oceans which you drink from today. And she birthed 1,000 monsters from the mutations that their creations caused.
Also, his face tightens when he says monsters.
All because they could not find it in themselves to live with her. They only sought to destroy her in their selfishness. And those who lived, they knew the burden that they carried. Your father knew. What he didn't know, I will tell you now, is the punishment I brought to them. It was twofold. The first was to remove all knowledge of them from the world and let the ice heal. Of course, she had been hurt so much, she could not find it in herself to be kind anymore, and she did not forgive. I let her decide. I let the ice decide what to do with the Lachey. And she saw it fit to turn them into beasts and force them to live in the world they created. Those who didn't freeze to death mutated, and they ate each other alive. I saw it from here. You walk with one of them.
You did to Shu.
The ice did that to Shu. She has her own mind. I simply gave her that sentience.
You cling, Silvanus. You are an old idea of nature because you thought it was a punishment to create her, and she is beautiful. That other creature that we found was beautiful too. You wanted to further punish them when they could have learned to adapt as Shu did and grown brighter and healthier. With just a bit of teaching and love, you chose to destroy them all and to punish them sometimes for all eternity. What is natural about that? You don't talk like anyone who understands nature. You sound like you want to freeze it yourself. I think Lucas would feel that he's probably not obviously trembling, but also his hand would be trembling on his chest. He looks upset.
Lucas says, "You won't turn her back, will you? Into what she once was." And Silvanus says, "I could."
It's been done now.
It's been done.
I saw her in a human form, and she was so angry. She could never go back. Just like you can't turn the Messiah back, or anything back, because that's not how nature works.
Make me a persuasion check.
Okay. It's 21.
I won't pretend to empathise with your situation.
Yes, because you don't feel empathy, because you're a bitch next.
It's hard for something like me to understand something as small as a mortal life. I value it still. Something I can understand.
Aylin's face is, do you really?
Mhm.
You sure?
Something I can understand is the changing of the world in its nature, in its seasons, in night and day. I see it from here. Your world is souring, unable to remove itself from the legacy of what once was. And if it was in my control alone, then I would make your world a haven, safe. Safe from the pain I've seen before.
You would do the same as the most evil person I've ever known would. He would burn it to the ground to start again. Would you freeze it? Brush us all under the rug for new creatures to come in, return to how it used to be. What would be your plan, Silvanus? Your perfect solution?
It's already too late for that. I see it now.
Then you should have no place going forward with it. if you've already lost hope.
Perhaps it's not hope that I've lost, but clarity. And he stands up from his seat. And as he does so, the darkness around turns bright as daylight, and beams begin to shine through the leaves. And you see in those patches where the sky is exposed, 100,000 different skies of different worlds and different realms that stretch beyond your understanding. This place which is as vast as the sky above your heads on the mortal realm, except at every point covered in leaves. It shows you as many worlds as there are stars. And Silvanus just says, I remember yours well, and turns, and in a second, without even hesitating, is able to point out a sky that you finally recognize of so many. And the leaves begin to pull aside, and in front of you, you see the Messiah. And Silvanus says, let's have a look then. Let's see what we can do. And I'm going to pause the session here because I know that we have things to do in the morning. What? This is good. I like this a lot. I love this game.
Oh,
I love it.
so
I love
good.
That was quite a heavy session.
Yeah.
It was insane. Okay, amazing. Cool. I really want to play more. But we must. If this were, and I know that we can't really go late because of your migraines as well. But we have another game coming up on Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday or Sunday?
What did we decide?
Check.
Yeah, what did we
calendar.
decide? I got very confused.
So I think Lily said I think the 12th
I've got
so
the
Sunday
12th
night
at 6:30 p.m. UK.
Okay.
That is correct.
If you guys are happy with that, Anna, I'm sorry you have to get up early twice in a row. Are you sure that's fine?
I should be able to do it, yep.
Okay, and I promise that the one we do after that will be at
A more
suitable
reasonable
time for you.
hour.
We can get back to that.
Emma and I have.
On Sunday should be okay. I've got my Christmas celebration with my home friends Saturday night, so I should be home in time because I don't imagine it would be late on Sunday because people will have work. So it should be absolutely fine. But I'm just letting you know that we have our Christmas celebration. So if it seems like it's going to be going any later or anything, then I will let you know. I'm just saying, in theory, it's all good. I just in practice hope.
Yeah. Also, with Christmas stuff, the 21st and the 28th I don't know what your guys' Christmas plans are, but if there is going to be any like stuff on either of those days, maybe we can reorganize those kind of nowish.
So what days were this, my lovely?
The 21st and the 28th.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.